Good morning, I'm Keira Woody. You've seen my friends talk about how to get Linux computers around the building. You've also heard about some things our teachers are doing with Linux computers in their classrooms. For many schools, that might be good enough. But if you are crazy enough to think you can, there is something else. That is learning about the operating system itself. We in the Penguin Corps have been doing that for the whole time the club has existed, with some of us getting rather good at it, I might add. So why does this matter? According to the 2022 Open Source Jobs Report from the Linux Foundation, 86% of hiring managers stated that open source talent was a priority to them in the next 6 months. Of those, 93% said they are having trouble finding qualified help. These numbers are pretty consistent every year. So how about using Linux to learn Linux? In the Penguin Corps in our middle school technology class, we do that. Here are a few lesson ideas that can help your kids get more familiar with Linux and have a lot of fun too. Fun with terminal windows. Most kids today first learn about tech using a touchscreen without giving any thought to what is going on inside that device. In the Penguin Corps, as early as possible, we pull the curtain back by letting kids learn to use the terminal window in Linux. It really excites kids to be able to make the computer do things by giving it commands. But what makes it really fun is all the fun things you can do in a terminal window. Things like Steam Locomotive, ASCII Aquarium, CalSay, XCalSay, and many more. The end result is always kids who are hooked on Linux. OS and app installation in Linux. Besides the terminal window, here at the Penguin Corps, we show kids how to do OS and app installation in Linux. This is yet another example for kids to dive into the world of Linux and open source. Most of our app installations are through the terminal window, but some have to be done through the software store or through other sources. This project lets kids know how to install different software in the computers, and we let them have fun doing it. This has the added benefit of getting computers ready for other kids to use. Open source licensing and why it matters. On the surface, this might look like one of the dry ones, but it's pretty important. Without open source licensing, we wouldn't have free software, and none of what the Penguin Corps does would be possible. So we set up a lesson in which students have to identify programs from different categories that are released under an open source license. This exposes kids to a wide variety of programs that they might have never even heard of. Distro hopping. In our distro hopping lesson, we set up computers with a variety of different Linux distros for kids to explore and enjoy. Some of these distros include Edge Ubuntu, Ubuntu Touch, Elementary OS, Fedora, Pop! OS, and many more. Kids love playing around with all the Linux distros we have to offer. We also give the kids a worksheet to write down what they see on the Linux distros. This is fun and also educational at the same time. Hardware lesson with Jolly Ranchers. Another example of our fun lessons is our hardware lesson. Now most students find some hardware lessons boring, but not ours. We take it to a fun level with Jolly Ranchers. Each kid is given a worksheet with pictures of all kinds of different hardware that are used on our own computers at school. Kids must name as many hardware as they can, and for every 5 hardware parts they get correct, they win a Jolly Rancher. This makes our lesson way more fun for kids while still getting them to learn about all the hardware that makes up a computer that we use pretty much every day. OpenShot and Audacity. In our 7th grade tech class, we set up a lesson making radio ads from Audacity. It was so successful, some of the projects were even published online. Also in our 8th grade class, we set up a lesson where students used OpenShot to make stop motion animations. Now that you've heard about all the lesson plan ideas that we have had, and that also work at the same time, think to yourself, could I do this in my community? And will it impact the world? Well, if you're crazy enough to think you can, go for it. You never know what you might achieve. Thank you.